Hello, investigators, and welcome to Until the End of Time. My name is Werner. Thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be Scenario 2 in the Forgotten Age campaign, playing solo with Stella Clark, the new survivor from the Investigator starter decks. This is the second scenario, The Doom of Eztli. And before I get started, I do want to give a quick thank you to everybody who's watching and specifically to everybody who has subscribed, as yesterday I hit 100 subscribers on my channel, and that might not seem like a huge number, and I mean, practically it probably isn't, but the thing is that when I started this channel, I wouldn't have guessed that more than maybe 10 people would have subscribed. So to see 100 people, it really does matter to me, and it really makes me feel happy about it. Makes me want to continue making videos. So thank you everyone who subscribed, and I'll definitely will keep making videos. If you want to get in contact with me, please post your comments or whatever. I read all of them. So thank you very much, everybody who has supported me so far. Here's to many more to come. Now, after last time, we went through the jungle looking for some ancient Aztec ruins, which we eventually found with the help of a long hidden tribe of Aztec warriors. And today we're going to delve into those ruins. Now, we earned 11 experience, both within the scenario itself and then the interlude gave us 2 more. Which I have spent as follows. I have upgraded our level 0 Peter Sylvester into Peter Sylvester level 2, which give him an additional point of sanity, so he now has 3 sanity, and he gives us +1 willpower. This is a just general upgrade, right? It just takes the Peter, makes him slightly better. The +1 willpower is actually quite nice because we have a willpower of 3 base, and just being able to have a bit more chance at beating those nasty treacheries definitely helps. I actually had a bit of an issue figuring out exactly how I want to upgrade, because there's some very specific cards I could take to beat the Doom of Eztli, but then those might not be very useful for later in the campaign, so I was kind of trying to strike a balance there. So I've also bought a copy of Alter Fate. Alter Fate, I think, is criminally underrated as a survivor card. It is essentially, sort of a treachery cancel, but it is a fast 1-cost treachery cancel that takes care of any treachery that is still in play. So it doesn't hit anything that you draw and then immediately resolve and then discard, but it is so flexible, so fast, so useful. This card is incredible, and because you are in Survivor, you can recur this with things like Resourceful, play it over and over again, and it is so good. I love this card. Specifically for some of the later scenarios, it becomes incredibly hard to beat. Threads of Fate, I think Boundary Beyond has a couple. I know that City of Archives has several treacheries that get either in your threat area or attached to locations that you just have to get rid of. And Alter Fate is the best way to do that. Only picking up 1 right now because I don't think we'll need 2 copies during the next scenario, during the Doom, but good to have already. It does actually have a couple of very good targets, and we can always recur it Resourceful. I've also grabbed 1 copy of Close Call. So this is a 2-cost event, 2 XP, that lets us shuffle an enemy we evade into the encounter deck. We're going to have to deal potentially with a lot of enemies, and having the option to get 1 enemy off the table, even if it's just for a little bit, even if we later draw into it, is great. Just because it's like, okay, that's 1 fewer problem for right now. Similarly, I've grabbed 2 copies of Expeditious Retreat. This is the agility version of the cards Brute Force and Sharp Vision. And basically, when we use it for a basic evade, we commit it to a basic evade. It is a 3 agility card that reads, if this test is successful by 2 or more, we automatically evade another enemy at our location. I think this card is, again, a little underrated. A lot of people look at Brute Force, see that it is 3 damage, are very excited by that. But maybe don't take into account the effort required to succeed by 2 there. Likewise, Sharp Vision. Most survivors don't have that high intellect. So in order to get the 2 clues from Sharp Vision, pretty tricky. You can commit it to somebody else, obviously, and that helps. But for Stella, we already have a base agility of 4, which is already pretty good. Like, we get 3 icons from the Expedition Retreat, so we're already at 7. But if we then have someone like Peter Sylvester in play, or we have our Trek Shoes in play, we can easily get to pretty insane levels of agility, at which point we are able to take what would normally cost a lot of effort to get rid of, like multiple enemies being engaged with us, and just go evade both of them, and we can move on. And that's definitely what we want to do during this scenario, is we don't want to get too bogged down in the enemies, because that is how you lose this scenario. But let's first read, obviously we have some story text to read first. Scenario 2, The Doom of Eztli. Check the campaign log. If the investigators were forced to wait for additional supplies, we were not. If the investigators cleared a path to the Eztli ruin, that we did do, we skipped the intro 2. Intro 2. Friday, July 3rd, 1925. At one point I'm going to say it with confidence and actually get it right, but we're getting there. We spent most of yesterday moving our camp to the edge of the ruins. With the serpentine creatures still guarding the region, we have decided that a small party will have the best chance of slipping into the main temple unnoticed. I told Maria, the expedition naturalist, to take one of the trucks and wait beyond the northern edge of the rainforest. Our cartographer, Jose, is guarding the camp until we return. We're on our own, but at least we've cleared an escape route in the event things go sour. Proceed to setup. Okay, we're going to grab a whole bunch of encounter sets. The tabletop does that for us. We have one location in play again. We have another exploration deck, which in this case has 10 cards again, 5 locations and 5 treacheries. We have some cards set aside, and then we get going. So it's actually pretty light setup here. Yeah, we have our explorer deck, we have our encounter deck, we have an agenda. Agenda 1A, Something Stirs. Despite Ichitaka's warnings, you've entered the ruins of the temple in search of ancient knowledge and artifacts. This agenda gets +1 investigator doom threshold, so it is a doom threshold of 7. And there's a forced effect. When this agenda advances, do not remove doom from each location in play. Then we also have Act 1, Into the Ruins. After your hellish journey through the jungle, the quiet solitude of the temple ruins sows paranoia in your mind. Serpent eyes glare at you from the darkness. Every drop of water and fallen pebble causes you to whirl about in search of danger, but the real danger is yet to come. Action, Explore. Draw the top card of the exploration deck. If there's a connecting location, put it into play and move to it. So it's the same explorability from last time, and we will need 3 clues to advance. Again, there is sort of an optimized route. In this scenario, it's a lot less relevant because we kind of have to go... We're probably going to hit most of the locations anyway. Our Chaos Bag. We have skulls are -1 or -3 if there's doom on our location. The cultist token we picked up by parlaying with Ichitaka last time is -X. X is the number of locations with doom on them. And the Elder thing is reveal another token. If you fail, place a doom on your location. That one is extraordinarily nasty in this scenario. And especially with Stella being Stella, we really have to be a little careful with what tests we're taking. We don't want to just take a bunch of tests that we might fail because it could go very poorly for us. We're starting at the entryway, ancient and ruins location. The sun sets over the temple ruins, bathing the stone in warm light. The sound of the rainforest are distant by the time you cross underneath the painted entryway. Inside, the halls are plunged into darkness. Only we had something to light the way, like torches. Hey, we do. Okay, well, let's go to our opening hand here. We have a Resourceful, which lets us get a card back. Neither rain nor snow. Useful skill, Live and Learn, Flashlight, and Rise to the Occasion. I'm feeling a pretty big mulligan here, because these are not the cards I want right now. They're good cards, but I don't want them right now, because I want to be able to push into the jungle, or into the thing. So I'm going to actually just... Do I mulligan all 5? Or do I keep the Flashlight? I think I'm going to mulligan all 5. It's a bit of a bold move, because, you know, could end up far, far worse, but... looks like it went reasonable. Okay, so what did we end up with? We ended up with 2 copies of Neither Rain nor Snow. Those are 3 icon signatures. We have an old keyring. I guess this is going to be our clue gathering tool for the moment. We have our Close Call. And we have on Track Shoes. Well, that's our opening hand. Let's see how it goes. The entryway. Still Ancient and Ruined straight. Action, Resign. You've escaped for now. And another action, check your supplies. If you have torches, look at the top 2 cards of the exploration deck. Discard each treachery looked up by this effect, shuffle the exploration deck. Many hundreds of years ago, this temple might have been a bastion of beauty and reverence in this perilous jungle. Okay, so this is actually good. We're gonna actually be using this ability because unlike with the map in the first scenario where we could look at the top cards of the deck, that wasn't actually getting rid of anything. Now, if we're lucky, we're going to be able to hit a couple of the treacheries before actually having to explore, and we basically get to explore without, breaking everything. First up though, we're going to play our Trek Shoes, just to have a bit more agility in case we draw an early snake. And then our second action, we're going to check our supplies. Okay, so we hit one location, the Grand Chamber. I guess I could read that. Which would actually be connecting, but we're not exploring, so we're not going to get it. But basically, it's 2 Shroud, but if we do not succeed by at least 2, we have to flip a clue to its Doom side. As you can see, Doom on locations is a big deal in this scenario. So that gets shuffled back in, but we did get rid of Entombed, which would have gotten us stuck in our location. We couldn't disengage, we couldn't move, and then we have to take several tests to get out. So I'm glad that that's gone. I am actually just going to do that one more time, because we're not really under pressure yet. And if we get lucky, we might hit 2 treacheries. Hey, we got lucky. So we got rid of a final mistake, which gets more difficult the more Doom is in your location and deals 2 damage if we fail. And Deep Dark, which prevents you from getting more than 1 clue from each location every round. Fortunately, it goes away at the end of the round. So now we've only got 2 more treacheries left in the deck and 5 locations. So our deck is a little bit more nicer now. Just a quick reminder before I forget to mention it. I do have 1 horror from the mental trauma I took for not having a blanket. Well, that's our investigator phase. So we're going to upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource, and the first Doom. Encounter card will be another Deep Dark. Well, it's not really a problem. We don't really need to discover... Well, it might be a problem. We'll have to see. So I could use the torches again, obviously. I could keep using them until I know all the treacheries are out. But that's actually... we might end up losing a lot of actions just seeing 2 locations, and I don't want to do that. So instead, I'm just going to explore now. So we're looking for the red square or the kind of purple, blackish star. And we find the Grand Chamber. I'm going to put it over here is fine. This map is pretty interestingly laid out. Again, because I've already played this scenario, I know how the map is laid out. So this is actually the location we just saw. And it's kind of a tricky one because obviously we want this clue, it's a victory point, but we don't want to lose... we don't want to flip it to Doom, and if we were to investigate and not get, high results, it would flip before we could actually pick it up, which is also bad. That being said, I do feel like trying for this clue, so what I'm going to do is spend 1 resource, play a old keyring, which gets 2 uses. Each of those uses gives us -2 shrouds, but only if we succeed do we have to remove a key. But our last action is going to be to investigate with the old keyring. And we're just going to commit Neither Rain nor Snow. So now we are up to 5 intellect, 2 base plus 3 from the Neither Rain nor Snow, against 0. Hopefully this will be enough. We draw a cultist token, which is -X, X number location with Doom on him. That's fortunately still 0. We get this clue and we do not have to remove the... we do not have to turn it into Doom. Now I realize I didn't actually set up my clue counter, so if you'll excuse me for a moment, I'm going to set that up off screen. And there we go again. Sorry about that. There's recently been a mod by somebody in the community who has changed the clue setup so that there's actually a little system that checks how many clues are in this area and actually shows you, which I personally find very useful, so I want to use it. But I forgot to turn it on. Okay, so we've got this, we've spent our actions, we do have to lose a supply of the keyring, of course, and then we can go to upkeep, we get a flashlight, get a resource, we have to discard Deep Dark, and we go on to the second Doom. Going well so far, haven't hit too many snakes yet, so that's good. Okay, Lost in Time. It is a hex, treachery, revelation. Shuffle a non-story asset you control into your deck, moving all damage and horror from that asset to your investigator. If no asset is shuffled into your deck by this effect, choose and discard 3 cards from your hand. Well, fortunately, we just have an old keyring with 1 supply on it, which is not something we're too sad to lose. So that's just going to go away because I don't want to lose my very expensive track shoes. Okay. So I would like to have a few more cards in hand, but as it sits, we have a potential to do very well if, well, first action I am actually going to draw. And we draw, did I shuffle? I'm just gonna, okay, oh, we got a rabbit's foot, excellent. Well, second action we'll play the rabbit's foot. Don't really feel like exploring last action, but I also don't feel like, yeah, we can afford to lose too much action tempo, so we're going to explore last action. And we find the one I was hoping not to hit. We find the Ancient Hall, which is the red square, connected to both the entryway and our grand chamber. In the middle. And it reads 3 Shroud, 2 Clues, Ancient and Ruins. With a forced effect, at the end of the round, we flip one of the clues on Ancient Hall to its Doom side, but any investigator at Ancient Hall may spend 3 resources to cancel this effect. This is annoying, because we're going to want to clear this, but because we don't want to just have it turn into 2 Doom. But sadly, any attempts to... So this is we're going to upkeep. Draw a card, it's another rabbit's foot, we get a resource. So now we have a choice because the end of the round is this point. We can either pay 3 resources, at which point we would be broke, and then we would have to find a way to get 2 clues of a 3-shard location with 0 resources. Alternatively, we can have one of the clues flip into Doom, which makes the entire scenario go faster. It gives us nastier tokens, everything. But it also means that we have some amount of money, which we probably will need looking at our hand. So yeah, I'm going to choose not to pay the 3 resources. And have one of those clues flip. I mean, yeah. Okay, it's a nasty one, but nothing to be done about it. And we go to the Mythos phase. We draw, oh no, okay. Ancestral Fear, Terror, Peril and Surge. Revelation, you must either place a Doom on your location and discard Ancestral Fear instead of placing it in the victory display, or place Ancestral Fear in the victory display. And it has Vengeance 1. So we could choose to take another Doom, but that it would be a Ancient Evils with Surge, which is really nasty. And so far we've actually done very well in avoiding Vengeance, so I'm okay taking a point of Vengeance. It does still surge into, oh no. Okay, things are about to go very nasty. We drew Serpent Skull, and we have to choose. Either we become poisoned, or we have to draw 2 encounter cards. Well, we're going to draw 2 encounter cards because while we still have our medicine, getting poisoned this early in the scenario can very easily spell Doom. So we draw Crypt Chill. Okay, that's not too bad. We can manage that. Because even if we fail, we can sacrifice our rabbit's foot and then play the new rabbit's foot. 0, we do fail, so we get our extra action. And I believe this, we can execute these effects in either order. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, this is step 6 and the other one's step 7, I believe. So I'm gonna exhaust rabbit's foot, get a card, and then discard the rabbit's foot. Pretty sure that's correct. And, well, here's the card why I didn't want to get poisoned. We drew Fang of Yig. A 3 combat, 3 health, 3 evade enemy that preys on a poisoned investigator. As retaliate, and while it is engaged with a poisoned investigator, that investigator cannot play cards or commit cards to skill test. That latter part is actually, in my opinion, the worst part about this card, because you basically have no... Once you're stuck with this enemy on you, you either have to have a high agility, or you're just stuck until somebody else can come get you. Now, fortunately, we're not poisoned, so we can still play our cards, and we actually have a reasonable agility. That being said, we should probably get this clue and bounce. So first action, we're going to evade the snake friends. Now looking at our discard pile, do we want to commit resourceful just yet? I think I want to try to get the 3 over because we have a doom on our location. So yes, I will commit the resourceful. We draw 0, that's fine. We'll get back to neither rain or snow. And then we will exhaust and disengage from the Fang of Yig. Then we're going to investigate. Or do we play the Rabbit's Foot first? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to play Rabbit's Foot first. Then I'm going to investigate. And I'm up 2 versus 3. -1, I failed. What a surprise. So I draft Rabbit's Foot to draw a card. Excellent, it is an expeditious retreat. That'll help if more snakes show up. And then I'm going to play Live and Learn. So I get to retake the investigation, now with +2 on my test. And I will also commit another rain or snow. Draw a -3, which fortunately we pass. Getting the other clue here, which fortunately won't turn into a doom now. And then we're quickly going to move out of the way. Okay, pushing to upkeep. It's worth pointing out the Fang of Yig does not have Hunter. So we're good on that front. Draw a card, it is fine close. Those are a agility icon this scenario because there are no parlay tests. Okay, now important to note, we have 4 doom on the agenda and 1 doom in play. So we're 2 turns away from advancing, assuming no more doom. And we draw a Brood of Yig. This one does have Hunter, and that's going to be a problem. Although, maybe not. Let's start by trying to evade him. We're 5 versus 2. Pretty okay with that. Alright, I should probably mention, gets +1 fight for every vengeance point in Victor's play, so right now he's a 3/3/2 with Hunter. Well, we succeeded evading him, and we're just going to keep exploring. Explore. Probably going to hit a treachery one of these. But not this time. We're going to hit the burial pit instead. The burial pit is a 3 shroud, 1 clue location, ancient and illustrated, which I believe all of these have been. Forced. After you put burial pit into play by exploring successfully, you must either draw 2 cards from the top of the encounter deck or place 2 doom on burial pit. Or any combination thereof. Well, I guess we're drawing more encounter cards because I don't want more doom. Okay, we had a Curse of Yig. If you watched my failed attempt at the Untamed Wilds, which I uploaded probably 2 days from the day I'm uploading this, in the recent past, there should be a video. You'll see that this was the card that actually killed me in that run. And then we draw another encounter card, the Serpent from Yov. Okay, this is an annoying one. Lots of text on this guy. 3 fight, 5 health, 3 evade, humanoid, monster, and serpent traits. While there are 1 or more vengeance points on in the victor display, he gains Retaliate, 2 or more he gains Hunter, 3 or more he takes 1 less damage. Now the last part doesn't matter at all, because we're probably not killing this guy. The only way we're defeating him is using the card Waylay, but I believe that's a one-off in our deck, so I'm not too worried about that just yet. And right now he also doesn't have Hunter, because there's 1 vengeance point in the victor display. That being said, I do want to avoid getting punched in the face by him, so I'm just going to evade. I'm 5 versus 3, and I could commit Divine Close, but here's the thing, I'm actually kind of hoping I fail the first one and then succeed the second one, so I can get a card with Rabbit's Foot. So we're just doing it like this, and we just succeed. Well, there you go. Okay, so this is starting to become, as you can see, a situation where we might run into trouble, right? We have a hunt or a snake here, we have a hunter here. We need to avoid too many enemies clumping up together, because that's going to cost a lot of actions to get rid of. Now I could actually just shuffle the serpent into the encounter deck. And I'm kind of tempted, to be honest, with the close call, because our next turn, it's going to ready. We're going to have to evade it again. Then we're going to have to probably get this clue somehow. Not exactly looking forward to figuring out how I do that either. And then I would also have to explore to avoid this Brood of Yig from attacking me. So yes, we're going to play Close Call. Play after a non-weakness, non-lead enemy at your location is evaded. Shuffle the enemy into the encounter deck. So we might see our Serpent again. The encounter deck, it's 21 cards, so could still see it. But at the very least, it prevents the board from clogging too much. I would have usually preferred to do that on a Hunter enemy, but on the other hand, you know, if we get one more Vengeance point, it will have been a Hunter enemy, and it's the nastier one, so yeah. Anyway, we're going to upkeep, we're drawing a card, we're getting a resource, and then up to Mythos. So 5, 6, we're still one doom away. Ooh, we draw an Obscuring Fog. Okay. This is now 5 Shroud, we're gonna have to really, you know, put in some effort to get through that. The good news is that we're not too pressured enemy-wise, so we have a little bit of a chance here. The bad news is that our hand's not optimal for getting through such a high shroud location. No, that's tricky. Oh, sorry, camera just zoomed out real far for no reason. Yeah, so what I'm considering is using the old keyring. Investigating once with the old keyring, you never know, you might draw the +1. And then investigating again if it doesn't work with Neither Rain nor Snow in there, and hope that's sufficient. So let's do that. Play the old keyring. And investigate using the old keyring. So we're 2 versus 3. We got 0. Sadly, we don't have a lucky. Otherwise, we would have made it. But we get the keyboard supply on the old keyring. We get the draw card with Rabbit's Foot. And we get to get an extra action. We drew Hiding Spot. Pretty useful if we have to get past an enemy, but right now it's not that useful. Also, we haven't taken a lot of damage in horror yet, so I'm not that worried about the Brood attacking me actually. Anyway, our next action, we're going to investigate again using the keyring. This time we'll commit Neither Rain nor Snow. We are 2 over. You're on another 0, passing. So we get this clue and we get rid of the Obscuring Fog. Okay, we have 3 clues now, which is enough to advance. And I'm just going to advance right away. We have 1 action left from our bonus action. Clean up the board a bit. So we have found our 3 clues, we advance. Hidden corridors. The ruins are far more vast than even Alejandro had anticipated. Carvings in the walls and hieroglyphs etched into stone altars suggest the existence of a central chamber underground. Perhaps a hidden passageway will show you the way to this chamber, the very heart of the temple ruins. Shuffle the set-aside Chamber of Time location into the exploration deck. Okay. Chamber of Time, that seems important. Let's put that into the Explore deck. There's 5 cards in the Explore deck. To note, 3 locations and 2 treacheries. There's a location that we're not seeing here yet, location here, and the location here, which we just put in, which is the Chamber of Time. As you pass the strange glyphs in the walls, the ruins groan and creak in protest, and the carvings glow ominously. Years of deterioration have faded the patterns of these glyphs, and the surrounding stones seep with a vicious buzz. If only you had some way to restore these glyphs. Check your supplies. If any investigator has chalk, remove this act from the game. Otherwise, place this act in the victory display. It gains Vengeance 1. And as it turns out, we do have chalk. So we are able to restore the glyphs enough to avoid the vengeance of this temple. We now have Act 2A, Magic and Science. Whatever is inside this central chamber must be very important. Much care was taken to obscure its location. The same Explore action. Objective. Only investigators in the Chamber of Time may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and the requisite number is 2. So we have to find the Chamber of Time, spend the clues. Alright. Well, we have 1 action left. We're about to get hit by this Brood of Yig, but I'm not worried about it, so we're just going to explore. And we hit Ill Omen. This one's kind of nasty. Peril. Choose a location where there's at least 1 investigator. Place 1 doom on that location. Each investigator at the chosen location takes 1 horror. So, yeah. we're going to get a Doom on our location, which actually, this is the best point for it to happen, while we do still have to take that Doom across to the next part of the scenario, or the next agenda. At the very least, it isn't speeding up this agenda at all. So we take one horror, put a Doom there. We go to the enemy phase, the Brood of Yik hunts and engages with, deals us 1 damage and 1 horror. Then we do the upkeep. And we draw a card, gain a resource. And we advance. We keep all the Doom on the location as per the forced effect. The runes awaken. Just then, a sound thrums in the walls of the temple. A dull humming sound, similar to that of a generator, grooves in the walls, and the ceiling flicker and start to glow. It is as though the temple is alive, and it senses your presence. The strange statues and carvings you've seen, coupled with a dim glow and power coursing through the walls, makes it clear that the temple isn't Aztec in origin. In fact, it appears to be from an even older, more ancient civilization altogether. You feel as though you are an intruder in a world you cannot begin to understand. Confirming your worst fears, a loud hiss and rattling echoes throughout the temple. Whatever you just woke up, it's not happy to see you. Spawn the set-aside Harbinger of Valusia at the location with the most doom. And I'll just mention this. The Temple Warden, the serpent creature, emerges from the shadow with terrifying speeds. It is bedecked in gilded feathers and wields a golden spear, the blade tipped unravaged by time. The rattle at the end of its creature's tails produces a tremendous noise as the creature hunts you throughout the ruins. And we have 13 Doom, which is going to go faster than you think because we already have 2 in play. Now, the Harbinger of Valusia. Humanoid, monster, serpent and elite, 3 fight, 10 HP and 3 evade. The Harbinger can retaliate while exhausted. Forced. After Harbinger of Valusia successfully attacked or evaded, place 1 resource on it. Then, if there are 2 resources on it, it vanishes with a sinister hiss. Set it aside, out of play. It keeps all damage tokens. It has Vengeance 5, 2 damage and 2 horror. We're going to just spawn it over here. There's 2 locations with 1 Doom on it, so we get the pick, and we're going to pick the one that's a little further away, so we at least don't have to deal with it immediately. Draw an encounter card, which is Final Mistake. Test Agility 3. If we fail, we have to take 2 damage. I'm not too worried. There we go. Okay, so with the Harbinger now in play, well, we gotta make a... we gotta beat feat, basically. First up, we should probably evade this brute. We should then try to find the Chamber of Time and get the heck out of here. First action, evade. Oh, I think I accidentally double-clicked. There we go, we succeed. Next up, let's explore. We find the secret passage. 5 shrouds, 1 clue, ancient rune. Victory 1. Forced. After you enter secret passage, you must either take 1 horror and 1 damage, or place 1 doom on secret passage. Check your supplies. If you or an investigator at secret passage has a rope, ignore this effect. A boulder obscured the route to this dark passageway. As soon as you step through the doorway, it opens into a vast underground pit below. Now this is actually really, really good, or it's potentially quite awkward, but I'll get to that in a moment. Because there's a location here, that's the Chamber of Time. There's also a location here. Let me move you over here for a minute. That we haven't seen yet. And we really, really, really don't want to go here, because apart from the fact that we'd be staring down the barrel with the Harbinger, it's not a location we have to visit, and we would also have to return to the secret passage. We really want to go here, but we have no way of manipulating the exploration deck, so it's really... Well, it's not quite a 50-50 shot, because there's also a treachery in there, so odds aren't good. First up, actually, I should take the damage and horror from the forced effect. I'm not putting a Doom on there. I might put a Doom on there later. We'll have to go back through it at some point, I presume. But as of right now, I would like to keep the Doom off of here, mostly because having Doom on your location, makes the scenario card worse as well, and I think I can still take it. I'm up to 4 horror, and I haven't seen Peter yet, which is a bit terrifying. But, let's hope we get lucky. I'll explore. And we find the location I didn't want to find, because of course we do. The Underground Ruins. While there's an enemy in Underground Ruins, it is considered to be in the victory display for the purposes of counting vengeance. And then a forced effect, after an enemy in the Underground Ruins leaves play, put a doom on it. It has Vengeance 1 and 1 clue. Now the way Vengeance on locations works is it only is counted if there's no clues on it. So we're just going to leave this clue here, but we don't want to stay here. So we're immediately going to activate our track shoes. Fortunately we still had those. Because we had just moved. So we can exhaust it to test agility 3, and if we succeed, we move to a connecting location. I'm not going to commit anything to this. 2 over. Draw cultist, which is -2. We succeed. I'm tempted by a somewhat perhaps strange move, which is instead of going to the secret passage, going to the burial pit. Now the reason I'm considering that is obviously I will engage the Brood of Yig again, but I can then move the Harbinger Felucia to the Grand Chamber, which when I then move into the secret passage gives me a little bit more distance, as opposed to moving to a secret passage where both the hunters will be split up from one another, which is something I generally try to avoid. So I'm actually going to move back here. Okay, we then have the enemy phase. Harbinger moves over here. And then the upkeep. Draw cards. Please be Peter. It's not Peter. It's another Expedition Retreat. Snake engages me. We go to Mythos. First Doom. Well, technically third Doom, but yeah. Lost in Time. Shuffle a non-story card. We have... Okay, well, second time our key rings get lost in time. They just keep getting older and older because they keep, you know, traveling through time. Okay. Well, we're going to evade this Brood of Yig. Still don't really see a reason to commit anything. We draw an Elder Sign. That's interesting. Okay, I'm going to choose to fail. Reminder that Stella's Elder Sign is a +1, but we may choose to automatically fail to heal a damage and a horror. I'll choose to do so. Triggering Rabbit's Foot and getting an extra action. That 1 damage and 1 horror is just cancelling out the Secret Passage toll, so, you know, that's pretty nice. Second time we'll evade again, commit my Fine Clothes. We draw an Elder Thing. We have to reveal another Chaos token. If we fail, we have to place a Doom here. We draw a Skull. Now there is a Doom at our location, so there's a -3. But fortunately, we are at 6. We easily evade this Brood of Yig. Next up, we're going to move out of here, back into the Secret Passage, taking our damage and horror. And from here, do I explore or do I not explore? Well, whatever I would be doing if I'm not exploring would probably be worse, so we're just going to explore. We hit the Chamber of Time. Okay, excellent. And the good news is we have 1 card left in the deck. It's a treachery of some sorts. I don't remember off the top of my head which one. Might just be an Obscuring Fog. But we don't have to explore at all anymore, because we have the entire map, so we dodge that one. Our Chamber of Time is 4 Shroud, 2 clues, so we have all the clues we need here. Forced, after the Chamber of Time enters play, attach the set-aside Relic of Ages asset to the Chamber of Time. Place a Doom on it, or well, on the Chamber of Time. The floor of the central chamber is intricately carved and glows strangely. Vengeance 2, Victory 2. Now these are 2 Vengeance points we probably will be taking, because we want those 2 victory points. However, the extra point of Doom isn't too easy either. Okay, well, we go to the enemy phase. Harbinger moves, Brood wakes up. Get that upkeep already. Okay, we find our keyring again. I swear it's ruffled, but... yeah, so optimally... Okay, well, we drew Ancestral Fear. This is a tricky one, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Doom already, and I can basically kind of estimate how much Doom I'll need in order to win, or how much time I need to win the scenario. And going by that estimation, I know I can probably afford to take the Doom here. In addition, I already have one Doom on the location, so it doesn't change anything for the Skull or Cultist token. And the Vengeance point might matter. So yes, I'm going to choose to do that. Doesn't feel great, but I think we have enough time. Gonna be really sad if that turns out to be wrong. Okay. Test willpower 3. For each point we fail by, we must either lose an action or take one horror. This is where I really wish we had Peter, but sadly Peter's no showing. Okay, this is actually not too bad. We draw a -1, which means I'm just going to take a horror. We get an extra action and we get to draw a card. We draw take heart. Actually pretty useful here. So yeah, actually I should make sure I don't go over hand size. The first action is just going to be an investigate. 2 intellect versus 4 shroud. We're committing take heart and we're hoping to fail here. I need to find... Look what I found, I think. Although, maybe this is wrong. Let me back up real quick. The thing is that we've already gotten our bonus action this turn, so additional fails aren't giving us more actions. And as such, I could also just chuck down the old keyring and hope for the best. But the problem is I'm looking for zeros at that point, and there's not that many in the bag. Could obviously be committing icons, but that doesn't help either. And the thing is that I feel like if I use the keyring and then the take heart, I'm guaranteeing basically that I'm going to succeed the test. So no, we're just doing it like this. -2, draw 2 cards, gain 2 resources. Okay, still not what we want, but here we are. At the very least, we have some tools to deal with what we have to do. Given that we have sufficient resources, I'm just going to play a flashlight now. I'm going to investigate with the flashlight, which puts our shroud at 2 versus my intellect of 2, which is not great, but we can commit the Neither Rain nor Snow to it. Drawing a -1, passing, getting a clue. Okay, so this is going to get a little risky. I'm gonna use the second or last action to use flashlight again, committing the old keyring and the other flashlight. If there's a reasonable chance this fails, and if it does, we are kind of stuck for the moment, which is getting a little scary with the hunters approaching. And we draw the auto-fail. Okay. Oh, I wanted them to not spawn those resource tokens. Okay, so we now have to hope for the best, basically, in order to get this last clue, because we can't advance until we've got this clue. Once we advance, we're actually in a pretty reasonable spot, but until that time happens, well, we at least have Peter. That's good, because we were getting a little hurt with the old horror, so having him to soak would be good. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 turns to go. Is that correct? 13 minus 7 is... no. 6 turns to go. 6 turns to go. I can math. Okay, we draw Fang of Yig. Oh, we're still not poisoned, so that's good. We are potentially dealing with a lot of enemies. Yeah, and I don't feel much for getting hit by the Harbinger. However, we do have some shenanigans in the form of Hiding Spot. I plan to use Hiding Spot in a slightly different way, but here we are. First up, we're going to just evade the Fang of Yig. We're already at 5, and we get stuff for failing, so not worried there. -2, we just pass. Excellent. Okay, so here's what I think is the plan. Investigate again, getting a rabbit's foot and an extra action, presumably. We can use the hiding spot to have all the enemies... Oh, hold on. It's only non-elite enemies. It doesn't work on the Harbinger because she's elite, or they are elite. I always think it's a feminine character, but the rule text refers to it as it, which it does for all characters, so I guess that's fair. We don't want to move into the secret passage, but we also really would rather not take 2 damage into horror. But at this point, I think it's looking like one of those options is going to be what we have to take. Especially since if I move back into the passage, I can evade them, but then I have the same problem next turn. So no, we're just going to play Peter. We're going to investigate once. We draw an Elder Sign. Wish I used a flashlight, but we can't succeed now. You know, even with the +1, we're still 1 point short. That means we just automatically fail, which is what we wanted. We get the heal, which is kind of nice. Draw. Oh, thank you. And we get an extra action. Okay, now we got it. Use the flashlight. The Shroud is now only 2, which means that no matter what token we draw, we get to use. Look what I found to pick up the last clue here. And we can advance. That was the last action. And this is very important because when we advance, something weird's going to happen. The relic. The relic hums with power and drops in your hands. Energy from the device seeps into the corridors of the ruins and the structure of the temple shifts. Choose an investigator in the Chamber of Time to take control of the Relic of Ages. That's going to be me. There's not a lot of other options right now. Move the placement of each location to form a straight line with the Chamber of Time on the left and the entryway on the right. Chamber of Time on the left, the entryway on the right. I'm going to remove all of these location connections because we won't need them anymore. Then, each other location is placed from left to right in between the locations in order of how much doom is on them from lowest to highest. In the event of a tie, you may decide the order. So the locations with the most doom, the Ancient Hall and the Burial Pit, have to go closest. I think there's much of a difference there. We're pointing out that the Fang of Yig is still in the Ancient Hall. And then we have the Grand Chamber. Yeah, so we have the Grand Chamber and the Underground Ruins and the Secret Passage, which is important right now because we're going to try to bypass the Harbinger and the Brood. I think optimally placement would probably be Chamber of Time, Secret Passage, and then Grand Chamber. And then of course we're still in the Chamber of Time. So the way this is going to play out is they're going to hunt. See if there's a way to make this a little bit clearer without messing everything up. They're still in the Secret Passage, or there's Secret Passage. They're going to both hunt to the Underground Ruins, which I guess, whatever. And then I can use my track shoes, bounce, and then keep running basically to the Grand Chamber, which buys me enough time to get for the exit. Oh, I guess I should probably mention that's the goal of the scenario. So we ignore all location connections, we just move from left to right. And the objective, well, there are 3 or more vengeance points in the victory display. Each serpent enemy gets +1 evade. Right now there's only the 1, though once enemies move here it will be 2, but at 2 it's fine. These don't count until the end of the scenario, so that's fine. And objective is each undefeated investigator has resigned advance. The act is called Escape the Ruins. The ruins are shuddering with a tremendous power. You fear that the structure may collapse if this keeps up. You have to escape with the relic. Okay, so we go to the enemy phase. These hunters move. Then the upkeep. The Fang of Yig readies. And we're in the end game now, people. Okay, we round the rise to the occasion. That's good. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 doom. We have only moments to live. 5 moments. We draw another enemy, Brood of Yig. Boy, am I glad I brought Expeditious Retreat. Okay, I'm going to fast play Fight or Flight. And now we get to showcase exactly why Stella having 8 sanity is such a boon, because I've been taking lots of horror, but I can barely feel it. Only 4 so far. But we get Fight or Flight, we get +X combat and +X agility. Amount of horror, we have 4 horror. So we have an agility of 10 right now. And it doesn't even take an action because it's fast. Then we're going to evade the Brood of Yig. And we're going to commit Expeditious Retreat. So now we're at 13. We draw a -2, which is pretty inconsequential. Because we succeed by 2 or more, we automatically evade the Fang as well. So that's 2 enemies dealt with. We're gonna move trigger our track shoot. And we still get +4 agility, so, you know, no worries there. Skull, not a problem. The only token I think that fills us at this point is the autofill. We move into the secret passage. We do have to take another damage and another horror, but, you know, we're doing fine on both those fronts. Now, I did actually mess... No, that couldn't have gone any other way. But there is something that I'm kind of sad about, which is that there is still a clue at this location. And optimally, I would like to get it. I actually have a rise to the occasion, so that gets me to 5 agility, intellect, but it's still probably not good enough. And I guess that's one victory point we just won't be getting. So be it. Last action, we're going to move here. And then we're going to go to upkeep. Both of these snakes ready. Both of these snakes hunt back into the secret passage. It's a bit of a... We're going to go draw our cards, heal the horror here. Okay, no resource. Go to Mythos phase. We're still fine. As far as Doom is concerned, we drop Curse of Yig. Totally fine there. You know, we don't need our combat. We have enough health. And we're currently snakes, but, you know, I don't think we care. I'm going to move. Actually, there's no reason not to use it. So yes, I'm going to use Hiding Spot at this point. Now it's not doing quite as spectacular as I was hoping, but basically every non-elite enemy at the attached location gains aloof, and there's no reason for me not to use it here. The only reason being, I guess, if I really wanted to get those agility icons, but I think I'm fine. I'm going to try to attach it to the Ancient Hall, so now that the Fang of Yig here has aloof. Now I'm going to move, and I'm then going to use Track Shoot, because, obviously, but this means that even if I fail the Track Shoot test, I will still be able to move along. I do not fail the Track Shoot test, so, you know, either way it worked. I will move. And I will check my supplies. No, I'm going to resign. And we get to read. Avoiding doom. As soon as you cross the threshold of the entryway, something inside the temple begins to change. If an investigator resigns with the relic of ages under his or her control, the floor of the temple stops shaking and the dull humming in the walls goes quiet. Without the relic in its chamber, the ruins appear to be sleeping once more. You still have no idea what the object is or what its purpose may be, but you dare not tarry any longer to find out. Resolution 1. Alright, we made it out first try. Very well done. Before resolving any other resolution, if at least one investigator was defeated, the defeated investigator reads investigator defeat first. We were not defeated. The following is scrawled below the previous journal entry. The outside of the temple ruins appeared Aztec in origin, but once we breached the interior, it became clear that these buildings had a very different and inhuman origin. The ruins were alive. The grooves in the walls were illuminated as though powered by electricity, and a faint hum of energy reverberated throughout the halls. In spite of the serpent creatures, we were able to reach a hidden passage that led deeper underground. In the central chamber of these underground halls, we found our prize, a steel orb of unknown origin, gently humming and glowing with a dim blue light. It was attached delicately to a bronze frame, appearing almost religious in its significance, and we knew it could not have been made by the Aztecs. With the artifact in tow, we fled the ruins. The building had started to crumble around us, as though the orb was the only thing keeping it standing. Had it been powering the ruins like a battery? What exactly was this device that the serpents guarded so fervently? Maria was waiting for us with the trucks when we finally reached the northern edge of the rainforest. We're getting the hell out of the serpent-infested jungle while we still can. In your campaign log, record that the investigators recovered the Relic of Ages. One investigator must add the Relic of Ages to his or her deck, does not count towards deck size. Well, it's going to be me. If the Harbinger of Velusia is still in play or set aside, record in your campaign log that the Harbinger is still alive. Next to this, in parentheses, record how much damage is on the Harbinger of Velusia. Now, the Harbinger is still alive and has taken no damage, which is fine. We're not really looking to kill a Vengeance 5 enemy, but it still being alive could be a problem for later. For each Vengeance point in the victory display, record one tally mark under Yig's Fury in your campaign log. That is going to be 2 points from the Chamber of Time and another from one of the Ancestral Fears, a total of 3 Yig's Fury. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. 5 victory points. Not a bad haul at all for this scenario. Additional resolutions. Interlude 2, Expedition's End. Check the campaign log. If the investigators recovered the Relic of Ages, read Expedition 1. Expedition ends 1. Friday, July 17th, 1925. We have finally made it back to Arkham, our expedition a success. Alejandro is excited to report his finding to the university. How he maintains his starry-eyed idealism after the hell we went through in the jungle is beyond me. His attention is fixated on the strange relic that we discovered in the ruins. I wish we knew a little more about the artifact's origins. It unsettles me greatly. It hums at all times and pulses with otherworldly energy I can scarcely describe. As we traveled home with the artifact in tow, our nights were plagued by bizarre nightmares, dreams of other worlds and civilizations. Alejandro wants to bring the relic to the Miskatonic Museum to put on display along with the other Eztli artifacts we discovered. My feelings are mixed. At the museum it will receive proper care and historians will be able to study it and perhaps even discern its purpose. However, I fear the relic may be too dangerous for the public. After all, we still have no idea what the damn thing even is. Alejandro would hate it, but perhaps it would be better to keep the relic somewhere safe, where Harlan and I can study it in private. I'll have to decide tonight. After tomorrow, there won't be time to change my mind. The lead investigator must decide. It belongs in the museum. Alejandro and the museum staff will be able to study it and learn more about its purpose. Or it is too dangerous to be on display. We should keep it hidden and safe until we know more about it. So this is going to lead into one of the various paths that Forgotten Age can lead down. Given that we already didn't side with Alejandro during Untamed Wilds, we already cannot finish Alejandro's story, and as such, I will be keeping the relic hidden. Expedition ends 3, Saturday, July 19th, 1925. I've decided to keep the relic hidden for now. Alejandro is not happy with my decision, but until we know what the orb is capable of, it's important that it stays somewhere safe, where it won't endanger others. Harlan agrees with me and has offered to take custody of the relic and keep it in his private office. There we can study the artifact in secret. Alejandro is staying in Arkham for the time being, recording his notes about the expedition and helping the museum put together an exhibit displaying our other, less dangerous discoveries. As for me, I hope to find answers to other mysteries. How have the Eztli people remained undiscovered for so long? Why did they appear to be guarding the jungle, and from what? And who really built the temple ruins we explored? My thoughts are constantly in the jungle, serpentine figures in the shadows, obsidian arrows embedded in skeletal bodies, malformed voices shrieking in the cavernous depths. Each time I leave Harlan's office, I find myself longing to head back and gaze upon the relic once more. There's a nagging sensation in the back of my mind, as though we have forgotten something important. What must I do to rid myself of the journal's entry? Ends abruptly. Recording your campaign log that the investigators gave custody of the relic to Harlan Earlstone. Recording your campaign log that Alejandro is continuing his research on his own. If Alejandro Veda is currently in an investigator's deck, remove him from that investigator's deck. Proceed to Expedition Ends 4. Expedition Ends 4, we're almost there. You drop your pen as loud knocking at the door startles you, and you jump to your feet. It's almost 2:30 in the morning. Who could possibly be at your door at this hour? Your thoughts wander again to the jungle, and you are faced with a vision of serpent creatures attacking you in your own home. Shuddering, you find a weapon and approach the front door carefully, ready to strike if need be. You take a long breath and open the door. On the other side is a familiar woman with bronze skin, long brown hair, and piercing yellow eyes set in a hard glare. Though her attire has changed, you recognize her instantly as Itztaka, the Eztli warrior you encountered in the rainforest. Wearing a long coat and a bowman hat, she is visibly uncomfortable in her shoes, her jaw set in anger. You are about to raise your weapon in defense when she let out a heavy sigh, and walks slowly over the threshold of your home, shutting your front door behind her. Whatever you did, you have to reverse it, she intones darkly, or we will all cease to exist. The story continues in Scenario 3, Threads of Fate. And that is where I hope to see you all again when I post that video. As this is the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. We have a relic, we have no idea what it does, but apparently we're gonna all cease to exist. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be seeing you until the end of time.